since we will be doing all of our poses from the ground up, using that ground reaction force, I wanted to talk real quickly about being on the ground. So, or what's going to be on the ground, I should say. For the most part, it's going to be your hands and your feet. So we'll talk about Hasta Bandha and Pada Bandha. So Pada Bandha is one that you talk about probably more often than not. That's your feet on the ground. Bandha means lock, so we're creating locks between our feet or our hands and the ground. And that's going to be our foundation, and then we'll use that to build our pose. So we really want to have a firm foundation, really have our hands and feet planted. Now you want to think about the trinity of your feet. So you've got ball joint under your big toe, little toe, and then your heel. That's the trinity of your foot. That's going to be your Pada Bandha. That's where you really want to plant into the ground. You want to think about spreading your toes. You don't actually have to be crazy spreading your toes, but don't squish them together, keep them super tight. Let them be open, and that way you have more space on the ground, more foundation, more balance. And lifting up through your arch. Lifting up through your arch is actually going to start activating your deep core line. It doesn't have to be a huge lift. I don't expect you to be like squishing the floor, your arches away from the floor by any means. Just think about the lift coming up from there, kind of suctioning up. If anything, just think about it energetically, and your body will do the rest physically that it needs to do. So that's your Pada Bandha. Now Hasta Bandha is your hands, your hand lock. That one doesn't get talked about as much. I don't know why, because it's just as important as your feet. If we are grounding into the earth with our feet, we also need to ground into the earth with our hands. So same thing, you want to think about spreading your fingers out and really grounding into the earth with your fingertips. That's where you want the most amount of pressure. It's like a little gecko or those tree frogs. Think about that. Think about Spider-Man, whatever's easiest for you. And then you'll come down onto your palms. So you have the ring of your palm. That's going to be the second amount of most pressure on the ground. You want very light on your wrist. You don't want to put a lot of pressure on your wrist. Our wrists are delicate, so we don't want tons of pressure on those. And then again, think about suctioning up through the center. So you don't have to be like this, on your hands by any means. You'll still be on your hands firmly grounded, but you'll think about energetically lifting up from the center of your palms, kind of suctioning that up. And again, if you put that energetic thought into it, your body will start to adapt to physically do it, because you don't want a huge, like I'm lifting my hands up, the center of my hands up motion. That's not what I'm talking about. It's a subtle thing, but you really want to think about grounding into the earth with the tips of your fingers or your finger pads. Again, the strength then comes down here. You have the second most amount of weight on the ring of your palm and very light on the heels, and just a little bit of energetic lift from the center. And those are primarily going to be locks on the ground. Sometimes you'll have locks where you might be, if you're in a twisting pose, you'll have kind of a lock where your elbow is locked against your knee, and those things will come with each posture, but the primary ones are your feet and your hands. Those are the ones I really want you to think about when we're doing poses, when you're building up strength, is getting that foundation set first. And then as you do that energetic lift, that ground reaction force, then you'll build up a really strong and anatomically safe pose.